Are you a thrill seeker who lives for the rush of a roller coaster ride? Well, hold on to your hats because the story of the Railblazer will make you reevaluate your beliefs. This is a story of a stand-up coaster that within the first 3 weeks of its operation became the subject of finger-pointing and a haunting tale of terror. Join us as we unravel the mystery of the Railblazer tragedy. You see, in 1979, the first ever stand-up roller coaster was unveiled in Japan, and by 1983, a nearby park in Kansas City called Worlds of Fun had already built one of its own. So Six Flags St. Louis knew they had to come up with something pretty epic to compete. And boy did they ever. Six Flags was on a roll with the addition of the wooden coaster Screaming Eagle and their latest looping coaster. But there used to be a mine train there which started in 1971. The original mine train operated in tandem with another track right next to it. That second track eventually got sold off to other parks like Dollywood and Magic Springs. However, after the addition of more exciting rides, people just weren't riding the mine trains anymore, and the park's profits were suffering as a result. So they did what any savvy amusement park would do. They decided to add a stand-up roller coaster to one of the tracks, and it was a brilliant move. But no one knew what tragedy would happen. On June 17, 1984, the River King Runaway mine train was transformed into the Railblazer, complete with stand-up trains. It was a shiny new stand-up coaster, complete with fresh paint and a whole new level of thrills. And boy did people love it. The Railblazer was an instant hit, with queues and wait times that rivaled the other coasters in the park. You could practically feel the excitement in the air. But as they say, all good things must come to an end. And for the Railblazer, that end came all too soon. Just 3 weeks into its operation, a major accident rocked Six Flags St. Louis to its core. Stella and Carl Holcomb, looking to visit the Merrimack Caverns, decided to swing by Six Flags for a quick thrill. Little did they know, their trip to the park would end in tragedy. The ride was going smoothly at first, but then something went horribly wrong. What was supposed to be a fun-filled day turned into a nightmare, leaving a lot of people with broken hearts. On Saturday, July 9th of 1984, Stella and her husband Carl hopped aboard the Railblazer with adrenaline flowing through their veins. They were smiling ear to ear as they made their way to the back row, the perfect spot for thrill seekers like them. As they whizzed through the twists and turns, they felt alive. But then everything took a turn for the worst. Carl's heart was pounding as he watched Stella fly out of the ride. Reports say it happened on the helix after the second chain lift. Can you imagine the terror he must have felt? The Six Flags employee and Carl immediately searched for her body, hoping she had survived the fall. But when they found her, it was clear that the accident was fatal. It's a tragedy that will haunt them forever. To make matters worse, there was a lot of finger-pointing after the accident. No one could agree on what had caused Stella to fly from the vehicle, but the most plausible explanation is that the harness simply didn't fit securely. Some say it was because she was overweight, while others say it was due to poor design. One thing's for sure though, the thrill of the Railblazer was no match for the horrors that unfolded on that fateful day. Stella's autopsy report estimated her height at 5 feet 7 and her weight at 260 pounds. It's a sobering reminder that safety should always come first, no matter how thrilling the ride may be. The park officials were baffled, claiming that it was impossible that she fell out of the ride because the restraints were locked tight. But then, the rumors started swirling. Some say that Carl, the man who was sitting next to Stella, had something to do with her falling out of the ride. Carl pointed fingers at Six Flags, but many people suspected that he was just trying to cover his own tracks. They said he pushed her out at just the right moment, sending her hurtling out of the ride and to her death. The investigation started, and things started getting pretty tense. Many people were starting to wonder if they'll ever get to the bottom of what really happened to poor Stella. But here's the crazy part. The ride itself was deemed to be completely safe. No mechanical issues and no loose restraints. So how on earth did Stella manage to slip out? It's a mystery that's still unsolved to this day. Some say it was a freak accident, while others believe there's more to the story. David Peters, the head of mechanical engineering at Washington University, released a report about the accident that happened at the River King mine train. He mentioned that an unusual combination of factors could have caused the accident. According to Peters, the ride loaders may have not strapped as tightly as they should have, and the sheer force of the ride could have thrown her from the train. Can you believe it? It's like something out of a horror movie. And speaking of horror, have you heard about the ghost stories surrounding the mine train? Ever since the incident, rumors have been swirling around about Stella's ghost haunting the park. Some of the creepiest stories come from the employees themselves. Can you imagine that? Apparently, Stella Holcomb's relatives, including her husband Carl, sued the park for a whopping $6 million. Honestly, given the circumstances, it's not surprising. The amusement park and the ride maker were both accused of being negligent in the operation and design of the ride. And get this, the settlement approved was for $1.8 million. That's a lot of money, but it's really the least they could do for Holcomb survivors. The settlement includes both lump sum payments and monthly payments that were split among them. But let's talk about the ride itself. It's honestly hard to even picture what happened because there aren't many images online of the cars or their restraints. From what I can gather, it looks like there was 3 types of harnesses, one around your waist, one around your knees, and one around your shoulders. But let me tell you, that design was a disaster. It never really held the person in place perfectly. And that's just asking for trouble. I mean, can you even imagine being on a ride like that? It's supposed to be thrilling and exciting, but instead, it's just plain dangerous. If you've ever been on a stand-up roller coaster, you would know that in the more modern ones, you've got to straddle a seat like you're riding a bike. And then, just to make sure you're secure, a shoulder harness snaps against the rider. To conclude, the Railblazer just wasn't safe. However, on August 8th, just a month after the disaster struck the Railblazer, the ride was reopened with updated restraints. Seems like everything's good to go, right? Not so fast. The excitement was short-lived. Just a few months later, the Railblazer was shut down again, this time permanently. No heads up, no hints, just an abrupt closure. Officials from Six Flags, the park's operator, claimed the ride failed to appeal to the public. But was that really the reason? My hypothesis is it was the death of Stella Holcomb. The coaster was replaced by the River King mine trains and the park moved on. Despite the uncertainty surrounding the Railblazer's closure, the River King mine trains are still in operation and you can ride them for yourself. It's a bit of a thrill to think of what might have happened on the Railblazer. But if you're feeling brave, the River King mine trains are waiting for you. Would you be willing to ride something that killed a person? Let us know in the comments section down below. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications so you never miss a video. Stay safe for now, and we'll see you in the next one.